Let's talk about the state of the program right now. Julian Lewis announces he's going to transfer earlier this week. That comes on the heels of Jalen Bond, Sheldon McClellan, and then also Mike Kabongo announcing that he's going to go to the NBA. What is causing these guys to leave?
Well, obviously Mike's situation, wanting to go to the NBA, and I think that you know, when you have to look at each one of the situations, and you go back to when we you know, we lost Tristan and Corey, and then we lost Jordan Hamilton, and we were down to really 3 scholarship players, and we had signed 4 players, and then so we had 7 scholarship players, and then late we were able to really get involved with Sterling Gibbs, who had committed to Maryland, and Sterling came, and then Jalen Bond had committed to Pittsburgh and decided to get out of that agreement there, and so we were able to pick both of those guys up late. But I think in the case of Sterling, he came in and fully expecting Mike to leave after 1 year, because that was Mike's desire to do that. And when Mike came back, you know, and then we had also signed Javon, I think that Sterling felt like, you know, it was best for him. And one is first time he'd ever really been away from home, and so I think he wanted to get closer back to home, which he did. And I think Jalen getting hurt this year really hurt him, because he got hurt at the worst possible time I think you can get hurt, is once you really get into the full practice before the season starts. And he just never ever could get himself healthy, and that allowed the younger group that we have now, who we knew was and we do know is a very talented group, to get playing time and move ahead. And I think, and Jalen wanted to have I think more of a scoring role. And then when you, Mike, obviously, you know, I said a year ago he wanted to leave after 1 year, and I think with both Sheldon and Julian, really it got down to where we, as a program, and where they were, we probably had a difference of where we wanted to go with the program. And some of it, when you know, players come in and leave your program, obviously it goes back to the evaluation part of it, and that's the one thing I think we did as a staff a year ago with what will now be our sophomore class. We said we're going to be really selective in terms of, from this point, making sure we get the right kind of player to fit what we want at the University of Texas. And the one thing was, we want guys that truly want to be at the University of Texas for all the right reasons. And we've never wanted someone not to pursue their dreams of playing in the NBA or whatever that may be, but while they're here, what we want is the University of Texas and our basketball program to be really important. And I feel like the energy in our program right now, this spring, again, it's the best it had been in really a couple of years.
How concerned were you as a head coach, though, with all those departures? I mean, especially from one class.
Well, you know what, in terms of our team or our program or perception,
the program and the perception.
No, I think in the program, again, I'm telling you, I think we're as excited as we've ever been as a program. And I know how, you know, always the public perception is not what the reality is. And again, so that's something that, you know, people can, most people I think that report on it don't know the facts. And so they're going to report what they think. And like the one thing I would say is that we don't ever want anybody to leave. You know, we don't want guys to transfer. We don't want guys to, you know, certainly, you know, if it's the right time for guys to go to the NBA, it's something they have to do. But the fact is, we've got to have a program. And I don't think there's anything more important than the integrity of the University of Texas, and I don't think there's anything more important than us protecting what we know that we need to protect, and that is the basketball program in terms of doing things the right way. And again, I think making sure we get the kind of players and the, you know, the student athlete that really fits in with our philosophy, what we're doing, and that's where I think we've, and it all falls on me when it all gets right down to it. The mistake is that we didn't evaluate exactly the way we should have, and that's the one thing I said the last 2 classes we made a conscious effort of, and I think this spring was the first time it was able to really show up, and so we're excited about that part of it. I'm just so proud of what these guys did this spring and the way they've already reached out to help these young guys in a way that they weren't helped in terms of, you know, hey, this is what it's going to be, this is what we expect, and And we had that at one time. And through all the departures of guys leaving early for the NBA, really, we lost that. And it's a very hard thing to get back. But we really feel now that we do have it.
Well, Coach, I know you were disappointed last year. It was not a typical Rick Barnes year here at Texas, 16 and 18. You've had a couple months to reflect and take a look back. What went wrong?
Well, I don't think there's any question from the time that the Mike situation hovered over the program. That was huge because Mike had really had a tremendous off-season. You know, he was great, and it happens just a couple days before our first scrimmage with Davison, and then we have to do a totally about-face for getting ready for a couple of those scrimmages. But yet, thinking that Mike was only going to miss a couple games, so it wasn't like we changed everything. And then we get into the season, and then we realize it's going to be longer. So you've got guys put in positions that I don't think that any of us would have envisioned from the beginning. Guys having to learn a couple different positions, but there was never any consistency. We just didn't have the type of leadership from what we did in practice to what went on in games, and you still had Mike, who was doing a great job every day in practice, but he was with a group of guys, and so there was just the chemistry. We never really ever got it going, and our schedule was not an easy schedule, which we're not going to play an easy schedule, but as they get into it, I think every one of the freshmen would tell you now, a year later, that it was so much harder than they imagined in terms of, you know, guys can play that you don't think can play, but everybody can play a little bit.
Well, you've always evolved as a coach. You came here only playing man, then you ended up adding in some zones. So when you take a look at the program right now, what changes have you made or will you make personally to get this program on the right track?
Well, we did that as soon as the season was over with. The very last time last game, I told them, you know, this is what we're doing. This is the way it's going to be.
What are you doing?
And the work ethic, in terms of what we expect, and the mental toughness. That's where I think that, and I think that comes through the way you approach everything, not only on the court but off the court. And I think that we lost an edge there, where, and I do know this, we got that back this spring because of the way we went about it. Poppy said to me, and we were together one day, and he said, you know, Coach, I think what happened this year, when it's all plays out, it's going to be good for us. And I said, well, why would you say that? And he said, because everybody talks about what's happened before we got here. He said, we got a chance now with this group to do something. You know, we got a chance to put it back where it should be. And I will tell you, not only did they say it, but what they did this spring, I'm telling you, it was unbelievable. And it makes me realize, really, the last couple of years, what I knew it, but you get excited knowing that you're seeing it happening right here in front of you, where you see those guys are really committed to doing this.
Do you feel rejuvenated? You look rejuvenated. I mean, did this spring help you out?
Yeah, oh, no doubt. As a staff, we are more together than we've ever been, because we decided we're going to get back to what we were about, and that's where the evaluation comes in. And the way we play, I don't know if everybody wants to play the way we want to play. You know, I can only tell you this: when you've coached T.J. Ford, Royale Ivy, Brandon Mouton, James Thomas, you know, DJ Augustine, Kevin Durant, Justin Mason, you go down the line. It's amazing how much those guys love the game, the passion. And it's amazing how fun it was to be with that. And we just haven't had that kind of stability or that kind of passion the way that we want it. And it goes back to, again, I'll blame myself for it, the fact that evaluation, we got to do a better job in terms of knowing what we know that works for us.
All right, taking a look at next year. I know it's obviously early to get out the crystal ball, but what are some realistic expectations for next year's club?
Well, I mean, our expectations, Kevin, to win every game we play. I mean, the fact is, everybody's going to think they know what, you know. I mean, all I can tell you is that you look at our front line. There were some really bright spots with every guy that we have coming back on the front line. Whether you want to talk about Cameron Ridley, whether you want to talk about Prince eBay, the way he ended up playing. You look at a guy like Connor Lambert. Poppy, I mean, you look at what he did as a freshman, it's pretty impressive, the fact that he played all 5 positions. We've never had a guy do that. Well, I guess you'd say that Kevin did that at times, but you go back and look at the experience that Javon really got, and he has had an unbelievably great offseason. DeMarcus Holland has done everything we've asked him to do. You know, we got Jonathan Holmes, who, again, had his moments where he was really good, and then the other guys that are in that, what will be the sophomore class, they're going to give these young guys a much better chance in terms of the fact they're going to lead them, and they're going to be able to really mentor those guys, and the way they've already embraced them from the time they visited here, from the communication they've kept with them. So realistically, you know, I'm not going to put a bar. I just know this: we're not going to change our expectations. We're the University of Texas, where our goal is every year to have a chance to be as good as anybody in the country, and we're going to work to do that.
You mentioned Jonathan Holmes, the lone man standing from that 2011 class. What have you been telling him?
Well, again, he had a great spring too. I mean, I'm sure because Jonathan is a very caring person. I mean, he really cares. He's a guy that he actually made the comment to one of the coaches, "I'm going to help fix this," you know, and and that's the kind of kid he is. I mean, he cares not only about himself, but he cares about his teammates a lot. I'm sure that you know, the relationship he had with those guys is not what he envisioned it to be, but he's been great, and along with the other guys, those guys have, like I said, they've had a great spring. And so you asked me the question, how good can we be? It'll go back. I do think that our sophomores have a tremendous amount of experience, but it's their passion that I think separates what's happened, what we've had in the past. I think it goes back to respect of each other. I think that players have to respect what each one of their teammates bring and what they don't bring, but they got to respect each other in every way possible. And that's where I think we're going to be a totally different basketball team, and I think our program is totally different because, and I'm basing it on what I've seen to this point and the confidence and faith that we have in the guys that we have coming back, that they know what we want. They know, because when we recruited them, we told them this is where we're going to get to, and we're getting there. And so you asked me the question, how good can we be? It'll go back. I do think that our sophomores have a tremendous amount of experience, but it's their passion that I think separates what's happened, what we've had in the past.
Obviously tough recruiting in the college basketball world, and it seems like you're changing that philosophy a little bit, but how do you mix making sure you're getting skilled and talented enough guys to go with glue guys who are team guys? I mean, do you just go all glue guys, or is that a combination and just trying to patch it together?
I think you're always going to recruit the most talented players, but I think you've got to recruit the guys that you know that when it gets down, that you know that's going to fit. That's no question the key. I mean, I think that's the biggest part of the evaluation process. Do they fit for this program? And do they fit for what we're trying to do from a philosophy standpoint in terms of how we want to play, how we want to be? And so, with that said, we're going to continue to recruit the best players. I mean, you have to do that. There's no secret that the game's about getting
Kevin Durant.
Well, he'll make you good quick.
Yeah.
And you think about it, he came in, and that group of guys came in a situation where I think we only had 3 or 4 scholarship players, but obviously you're talking about one of the great players, and think about DJ Augustine, he's an NBA player, and so that class was different than the class that you were just talking about, because I'm not sure there's that many pros in that class. Damian James played, Dexter Pittman, but the fact is you have to again recruit the best players, and when you talk about glue guys, I don't think we know who glue guys are in terms of, I go back to Tristan and Corey Joseph. I don't think those guys in their mind thought they were one and done, and they might not have been if it wasn't for the strike in the NBA. But those guys worked so hard, and they were just tremendously hard workers. And Tristan put himself in a position that he at 4th pick, he had to do it.
He improved too much.
And I can tell you this, that Corey Joseph point blank told our team this year he wishes he would have stayed in school. He's told him that a number of different times. And but it's going to work out for him, I think, simply because, again, Corey's one of the hardest workers we've ever had, but he didn't. Neither one of those guys, I can only tell you, when they were here, they both put 2 feet in. They were solidified and in, and the way it played out in the end, it played out because of their hard work and their effort. And you look at our guys this year, we have some guys that are capable of putting together some, you know, phenomenal years, phenomenal season where at the end of the year, you don't know what might happen.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's a guy on our team, Kevin, that's not talented. I think every guy on our team has a level of talent, and it's up to us to put it all together.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at next year. I mean, how do you envision this team looking? Is this going to be, you know, late 90s Clemson Barnes, Providence Barnes, 2002? Are you guys going to run and gun? It sounds like you're going back to more, let's D it up.
Well, we have to do better defensively. We have to be a better defensive team. We really do. We can't be. We had just too many glaring weaknesses at a couple key spots where we've got to get better there. But I think you say Clemson, Providence days. I don't think you can play that way anymore because based on what they're saying about the rules of the game, you know, that was
Eastern Conference early 90s.
Yeah, I mean it was. You know, we actually voted in one year for 6 fouls, I think. You know, and it was very physical, and we've got to help the offense in college basketball. The fouls are going to have to be called where they're fouls. You know, and I think that's what. So I think if the officiating becomes what we say it's going to become, that they're going to officiate the rules of the game, you know, you're going to have to, again, be able to defend people but do it legally, and you're going to have to be able to score the ball. I mean, you look right now in the NBA, I mean, how hard it is to score. Yeah. You've got to be able to score. And so we're going to have to make sure that and I've always believed in running. I mean, I really do, and that's where I think a guy like Javon Felix has learned how important his position is in terms of getting up and down the floor. But I also think that's where we've improved in recruiting because, you know, like with an Isaiah Taylor, he is a pass first point guard that is going to make the game easier for the big guys in some ways. Mm-hmm. And I think what he does also is going to help a guy like Javon because, and I think it'll help all of them because I think we're just going to be a much better passing team. And last year we struggled with that. We really did. And so, but we want to be no doubt an up and down team, but we want to be efficient offensively. But defensively, we've got to get back to defending, and we'll mix defenses. And we've got to rebound it. We've got to be more consistent rebounding the ball.
Coach, always appreciate you coming in and talking about the state of the program. You look excited about next year.
I am excited, and you know, it'll get here quick, and I want to get here quick. I really do. It's when you have the kind of year that we had. You know, you really got to put it behind you, and I think that our guys, we did that pretty quick because we said, hey, it's what's done is done. You know, we'll learn from it, we'll move on, and so we feel good about, like I said, what's happened up to this point, and just excited about getting the guys back for summer school.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.